3 spine-chilling true student horror stories, unexplained secrets discovered in haunted hallways. Emma's heart raced as she clutched her backpack tight. She had heard the stories, students disappearing without a trace, echoes of laughter swallowed by the shadows of Maplewood High. Every flicker of the hallway lights sent a shiver down her spine. This place wasn't just a school, it was a husk of dread, each corner cloaked in whispered secrets that wrapped around her like a suffocating fog. As she made her way to her first class, the familiar smell of stale lockers and old textbooks felt foreign, almost sinister. Each step echoed in the eerie silence, no friends to laugh with, no joyful chatter, just the heavy weight of something dark lurking just beneath the surface. The autumn wind rattled against the windows, a reminder of what she had left behind, nights spent working late at the fast food joint, only to board the last bus home, the air buzzing with tension as various shadows whispered secrets that cut through her like a knife. She remembered a night when a strange man had boarded the bus, eyes glinting like knives in the dark. He sat 2 seats behind her, and his hushed words felt charged with malevolence, wrapping around her mind. Emma thought that was just a night, but the mundane had twisted into nightmares. Back at school, a gust ripped through the hallway, slamming the door to the science wing shut with a ferocious crack. Students jumped, fear painting their faces. Emma felt that familiar chill like ice had flowed through her veins. Papers began to flutter, seemingly alive, secrets in motion. And then, the horrible whispers started. They never came back, trapped in the walls. They were echoes from the past, lost students. She didn't want to know. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Determined to shake off the dread, Emma approached her locker to find it partially ajar. Something slipped out, a note. She pulled it out and read the chilling words, "They see you." Her breath hitched, dread pooling in her stomach. What did that even mean? Every passing hour felt like ice wrapping tighter around her heart. Her friends began acting strangely, laughter fading into uneasy glances. The familiar faces morphed into masked phantoms hiding truths she couldn't decipher. And then, one by one, they vanished. Just like that. The halls felt smaller now, the air thick with paranoia and suspicion. Emma couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching, waiting. She turned back to her locker, fueled by dread and determination. With each note she discovered, the pieces of a haunting puzzle pulled her deeper into darkness. Suddenly, a shadow darted past her, and she spun around to see one of her missing friends' faces etched with pure terror before vanishing down the staircase. A scream echoed, a warning that rang in her ears. Emma's heart thundered as she felt the walls closing in on her. It was time to face the haunting legacy that surrounded her, but would she endure what lay ahead? Emma's pulse quickened as she leaned against the wall, breath coming in short, frantic gasps. The school felt like a living entity, breathing around her, exhaling its dark secrets as she tried to piece together what was happening. What had she stumbled into? Her fingers clutched the note more tightly, the phrase still haunting her. "They see you." She took a cautious step toward the staircase where her friend had fled. The air grew heavier, almost clingy, as if it was pulling her back. Every creak of the wooden stairs sent shudders rippling through her, and she hesitated. Should she follow? Or would she only plunge deeper into the terror that had already gripped her peers? With a flicker of determination, Emma ascended the stairs. The hallway above was dimly lit, shadows lurking like ghosts waiting to pounce. Just beyond the landing, she heard another whisper, softer this time, but clearer. "Help us." It was melodic yet strained, a haunting lullaby threading through the air like smoke. Emma bit her lip, the realization dawned on her, the voices might not just be echoes of the past, they could be cries for help. She pressed forward, each step feeling less like a choice and more like an inevitable descent into madness. How many had heard this call before her? Were they trapped in the same eternal nightmare? What if they were close? The thought ignited a fire within her. She was coming for them. The corridor twisted, twisting like the very thoughts in her mind. She took a left down another hallway, darker and narrower than the one before it. The walls felt closer, squeezing her with every step. Suddenly, a loud clang echoed behind her, followed by frantic whispers. Every instinct screamed for her to run. But Emma turned on her heel, heart pounding hard against her chest. Standing in a pool of shadows was the silhouette of a figure, barely discernible from the darkness. "Emma!" A voice cried out, jagged with panic. It was Sarah, one of her missing friends. But as she stepped closer, Emma's breath caught in her throat. Sarah's face was smeared with fright, her eyes wide and glistening with tears as if she had witnessed unspeakable horrors. "Emma, we need to get out of here," Sarah urged, darting frantically into the shadows and reaching for her. But before Emma could respond, the dim lights flickered violently, casting eerie shadows that danced around them. "No! You can't go that way." Sarah's voice turned desperate. But it was too late. Emma felt an inexplicable force pulling her toward the darkened hall that stretched ahead. The shadows moved like tendrils, wrapping around her ankle, urging her into the unknown. She tried to resist, wrenching herself free, but the darkness clawed at her mind, whispering secrets uncovered. "Help us. The walls won't let you go." They're hungry for souls. A sudden chill seeped through her skin, freezing her to the spot. The laughter from long-lost students echoed anew, a haunting symphony that swirled around her. Just as the laughter crescendoed, she felt an icy grip around her wrist. Panic washed over Emma as she turned to see a shadowed hand grasping her. "Don't let them take you," Sarah screamed, but her voice was drowned by the laughter that broke into maniacal shrieks. Emma felt her breath hitch. She couldn't let fear consume her. "What do I do?" she shouted into the void. An oppressive darkness surrounded her. The walls seemed to pulse, inhaling the dread that filled the air. What sinister force was at play here? And could she escape in time, or would she too vanish into the haunting hallways of Maplewood High? A shudder raced through her as the shadows beckoned, and with desperation, Emma lunged forward into the grasp of the dark. A voice echoed in her mind, a whisper that sent shivers down her spine. You must confront the truth. Did she have the strength to face whatever lay beyond? The very essence of the school coiled around her, waiting for her decision. What horrifying revelation awaited her in the depths of the darkness? The moment she lunged forward, Emma felt a break in the oppressive grip of the darkness. A powerful light flickered, then abruptly extinguished as she landed on her knees, gasping for breath. The sensation was dizzying. She blinked, trying to catch her breath, unaware that she was no longer alone on the cold floor. "Emma," a voice whispered, this time with an urgent, chant-like quality. Shadows twisted around her, forming shapes that seemed to pulse with life. They moved closer, wrapping around her fingers, threatening to pull her back into the pitiless depths of oblivion. She scrambled to her feet, heart racing, searching for a way out, for a glimpse of sanity in the overwhelming chaos. "Sarah?" she called, her voice trembling amid the lingering echoes of laughter. The shadows shifted, and for a brief moment, she thought she saw her friend, a glimmer of hope amidst the despair. But the figure melted away, replaced by darkness that crept ever closer, a deep void hungry for her fear. "Help us!" the voice trailed off, morphing into a cacophony of whispers that filled the air around her, each sound piercing through her like sharp glass. Panic clawed at her mind. The laughter, the distress, they were building again, coiling into a monstrous crescendo that reverberated against the walls. Emma's instincts kicked in. She had to move, to run. She dashed toward the nearest door, her pulse pounding in her ears. Each step felt as if the floor itself was rebelling beneath her, but she couldn't let the shadows claim her. She burst through a doorway, landing in a wide, darkened classroom. Desks lay scattered, chairs overturned, as if a storm had torn through the space. The room felt alive. The walls cried out, memories trapped in the stains of time. She pressed against the wall, trying to catch her breath, but the laughter pressed on her from all sides, squeezing her mind. Emma, the voice was back, softer now, like a scratchy recording fading in and out. You have to remember. The floor cracked, sending splinters racing toward her as a form began to materialize in the corner. A student, or what remained of one, a face twisted in anguish as if caught in an eternal scream. Emma staggered back, snapping her gaze from the horror. There was no mistaking it. The echoes of history were here, trapped forever in a limbo of pain. Look! A glimmer caught her eye from the blackboard. Unseen words appeared, scrawled by an invisible hand, a message just for her: flee or be devoured. Her mind reeled with the implications. What was it? A warning? A spell? The walls of the classroom sighed around her, their whispers turning into something more sinister, as if encouraging her to succumb. She knew the answer she sought was close, but was she brave enough to confront the truth of this cursed space? A shudder rolled through her body, and just as she made to turn, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Sarah, face pale, eyes hollow, lips pressed into a thin line of urgency. Emma! We're running out of time. Her tone was frantic. The shadows seemed to gather behind her, swelling with an untamed hunger. But Emma gasped, heart pounding, we have to do something about them. No. You don't understand. Sarah's voice broke, fear spilling out like an open wound. They will take you, too. Let us just get out. Emma's resolve began to falter as the shadows danced menacingly around them, fissures in the floor growing wider, as if a chasm was about to swallow them whole. Mustering her will, Emma grabbed Sarah's hand. We can't leave them. They need help. Leave. Sarah screamed, but it was too late. A shadow bolted from the corner, swallowing Sarah whole in its maw before Emma could react. The room trembled, walls cracking as laughter erupted anew, horrified and victorious. What have I done? Emma's voice broke as the realization hit. The ground pulsated underfoot, and she barely caught a glimpse of Sarah's terrified expression, now lost to the abyss. Emma looked up, trembling, every sense tingling. With nowhere to flee, Emma faced the dark mass creeping toward her, its whispers now a roar. She could see faces within the shadows, twisted and pleading. Help us, they cried. It was her choice. Could she rescue them, or would she be consumed? The shadows tightened around her, squeezing the breath from her lungs. Would she risk it all for the lost souls of Maplewood High, or would she find a way to escape this nightmare? As she made her decision, the darkness surged, engulfing her in a vortex of despair. What would be the cost of facing the truth buried within these haunted walls? Emma fought against the pull of the shadows, each tendril wrapping around her limbs like icy fingers. The air thickened, choking her. Panic surged in waves, crashing against the thin barrier of her resolve. She had seen too much, the horror of a tortured soul like Sarah, swallowed whole, fading into the depths of darkness. Could she turn her back on the ones still trapped? Help us! The cries intensified, a haunting choir that swirled in the air around her. A sickening, guttural sound echoed from the walls, growing louder, saturating the classroom like a tainted fog. Summoning her strength, Emma lifted her head, focusing on the unseen words still seared into the blackboard. Flee or be devoured, she whispered, the chilling realization hitting her harder. Maybe the warning was for her. There was no wisdom in sacrificing herself for the lost. But could she really leave them behind? Each anguished face that emerged from the shadows pleaded with her for salvation. The chaos spun faster, Emma's breath hitched. She could almost feel the suffering their tortured existence coiled inside of them. Help us, they cried again, sending a jolt through her body. Could she reach them? She bent down, trying to concentrate on the nearest shadow. "What do you want?" she gasped, eyes darting. Fear grappling against her resolve. "Release," the shadow hissed, inching closer, pulling her into its suffocating embrace. Emma's heart raced as she felt the coldness seeping into her skin, nearing the brink of acceptance. What if she could free them? What if entwining her life with theirs offered a semblance of redemption? But a memory clawed at her, the glint of Sarah's terrified eyes, the echo of her scream. "Stop!" she shouted, gathering what courage remained within her. "I am not like you. I want to let you take me." The darkness screamed, a cacophony of tormented souls rising to engulf her. But in that moment, a spark of light burst from her fingertips, dispersing the shadows briefly. There was power within her, something that defied them. Emma lunged forward, focusing on the faces of those trapped. "I can save you." Light shot from her hands, illuminating the classroom. The shadows recoiled, but then twisted, morphing into wild shapes, surging toward her. Emma moved swiftly, dodging the darkness like a dancer caught up in a lethal waltz. She could feel the energy within her careening towards an eruption. As she spun around, the light spilled forth in a radiant flash, revealing the ghastly forms of the lost souls. Their faces were no longer in despair but began to glow with hope. "Remember," the whisper turned sweet, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. Emma felt their energy entwining with hers, feeding her resolve. As if perceiving her newfound strength, the dark mass flared violently, shrinking back away from her aura, gnashing and howling like a trapped beast. "Run!" Emma screamed, not just at herself but at the lost spirits surrounding her. "Follow the light. It's your chance." They surged, moved by her call, the shadows peeling away, leaving fragments of lost memories behind. The room rumbled, cracks widening as the dark force fought to keep its grasp. One last swirl of chaos lashed out at her. Emma nearly lost her footing, but she forced herself to stay in the light, feeding off the momentum and channeling it into a blaze that swept through the room. But just as the first rays of dawn flooded in, illuminating the path ahead, the last of the shadows launched one more, desperate attack. Emma gasped as icy fingers wrapped around her ankle, taking hold like a vice, anchoring her to the floor. "No!" she pulled with every ounce of strength left in her body. "I want to let you have me." A blinding flash enveloped her, the last words of the souls intertwining with her spirit, "Remember who you are," and just like that, everything went dark again, the light extinguishing, leaving her stranded in the void. But a fragment of warmth lingered, echoing more insistent now than ever, "You can escape, find the truth." Emma's heart raced anew. What truth? As a new darkness began to gather around her fractured soul, shadows whispered promises of forbidden knowledge, daring her to choose once more. Would she confront what lay behind the dread, or would the unknown consume her forever? Time was slipping away. The next choice could be the difference between salvation and a fate worse than death. Would she have the courage to act before the final curtain dropped, or would she remain like the others, lost to the shadows forever? The cold swallowed her whole. Emma felt it seep into her bones, gnawing at her heart. Stranded in that void, fear bubbled and thrashed within her. The shadows loomed, teasing and taunting like predators circling their prey. Her thoughts flashed with frantic urgency. She needed a plan. But what could she do against a darkness that thrived on despair? "Truth," she whispered into the silence, clenching her fists. What truth? The darkness twitched, almost responding, flaring with crackling energy. She sensed a presence, something guiding her, pushing her towards a fragile thread of hope. The shadows shifted, molding into murky figures just beyond her reach. Voices murmured like a wind through the trees, beckoning her closer. Find the truth. Was it a trap? Each flicker of light felt like a scream, pulling at her sanity, while the outlines of twisted souls whispered warnings. Their faces were a blend of pain and longing, echoes of her own fears reflected back at her. Could she really trust any of them? Trust, the word echoed back, rich with a cruel irony. Desperation fueled her courage. I want to stay hidden. I will fight. As her voice rose, the shadows recoiled, screeching in frustration. Emma focused on her breath, each inhale a reminder that she was still alive. Show me. She shouted, willing the darkness to reveal its secrets. What is the truth? In an instant, the suffocating void spiraled away, revealing a flicker of memory. A school hallway, dimly lit. Laughter floated past her ears, chillingly distant. Her heart raced as she raced through the fading scene. She saw herself, once vibrant and careless, unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. Emma. A scream ripped through her thoughts, raw and piercing. She spun around. The voice clung to her like sticky resin. You have to wake up. Who are you? But the shadowed figure remained vague, melting into the frostiness surrounding her. Emma reached out, desperate for clarity. She caught a glimpse of familiar features. Sarah's face twisted in terror. Sarah? She cried, lunging but fading faster with each heartbeat. Don't go. The laughter turned to frantic cries. A memory rushed back. It wasn't just familiarity, it was guilt. Emma had left her, believing she was safe, choosing to dismiss the darkness. The truth hit her like a punch. The shadows weren't just trapping souls, they fed on negligence, regret. No. This can't be how it ends. Energy rushed back into her. She clenched her fists tighter, feeling the warmth pulse through her veins. I want to let them have you. The dark mass tightened around her, anger boiling beneath its surface. Foolish girl. It screeched. You cannot escape. Gripping the energy that swirled within her, Emma pushed against the shadows with every ounce of her belief. You're wrong. I will save us. The room zapped with a violent surge, her light clashing with the darkness. Let her go. The words erupted from her lips, raw power mingling with sincerity. The shadows shrieked, swelling in fury, but Emma was unfaltering. As if nails of panic were driving into her skin, she felt the chains around her heart shatter. A blinding light erupted from her, expanding outward. And there, at the center, Emma found herself within the recollections. Sarah reaching out, her mouth twisted in a silent scream. The truth struck her down. I was blind. I could have saved you. With her desperate confession, the classroom exploded in a cacophony of sound. The wails of lost souls joined in symphony, conflicting and chaotic. The light danced wildly, illuminating the twisted faces of anguish, desperation giving way to fury. They pulled at her, a knot of energy and rage, wanting release. The classroom became an arena, light and dark battling with an intensity that shook the walls. Then, with one final push, Emma found herself in the eye of the storm. A fragile moment suspended between light and dark, where she glimpsed the realm of the forgotten. Is this what you want? The shadows lunged, and Emma braced herself for the impact. At that moment, she understood, to break free might mean she'd have to confront her worst fears. What would she sacrifice? Would it be her own light that dissipated into the void, or would she awaken the others to fight alongside her? The shadows lunged again, sending waves of darkness crashing over her. You can't escape. They howled, chilling her to the core. Emma clenched her teeth. I will try. But what awaited her on the other side? Would her courage be enough to risk everything, or would the truth be another trick, sealing her fate? The shadows took a deep breath, preparing for their final assault, but in that moment, a flicker of hope ignited just behind Emma's eyes. Would she find out what it truly means to rise from the darkness? The shadows crashed around her, a torrent of cold rage and despair. Emma felt their weight, pressing against her like the ocean's depths, dragging her down. She fought against it, pushing back with everything she had. As she struggled, the memories surrounding her twisted like vines, cloaked in darkness. Each one pulsed with energy, full of questions, pulling at her heart and mind. "Embrace the truth." A voice wailed, echoing from deep within the shadows. It sounded familiar. She strained to recognize it, but all that floated back were fears and regrets, wrapped in a spectral shroud. The more she fought, the more the shadows seemed to multiply, feeding on her doubts. "What do you want from me?" Emma screamed, the sound tearing from her throat as she spun, seeking any semblance of light, any path to escape. "Your burden, your truth." The shadows hissed back, their voices blending with the chilling whispers of countless souls. A flash of clarity sliced through the chaos, the faces of her friends in happier times. Laughter, sunlight, freedom. But why were they here? Could they help her? "Your truth is yours alone," Emma shouted, desperation fueling her voice. "I won't let this consume me." Suddenly, the writhing darkness seemed to pause, coiling back as if testing for weakness. In that moment of hesitation, Emma took a shaky breath. Warmth surged in her chest, a flicker of courage igniting. She realized the truth lay not just in facing her fears, but in confronting her responsibility for Sarah. She could still act. She could stop the cycle. Emma plucked the memories like strings, allowing their emotional weight to wash over her. "I am sorry, Sarah," she cried, her heart pounding like a war drum. The energy from her confession shattered the silence, sending waves of light spiraling around her. The shadows screamed in anger, lashing out as Emma stood firm, situated between lumping shadow and vibrant light. Every ounce of regret she bore surfaced. She could hear the whispers again, clearer now. They were beckoning her toward a vision where Sarah's face shone bright with hope instead of sorrow. "Do you see her?" Emma shouted. The shadows faltered, and her voice cut through the darkness like a sword. "You can't keep us here. I choose to save her." The scream that followed was visceral, as if the shadows themselves unleashed their fury. They undulated, bending, stretching like smoke grasping for something tangible. The bond between Emma and Sarah was palpable, a glimmer of hope sparking in the void. The figures began to shimmer, revealing glimpses of their trapped forms, all the souls clawing to break free from their prison. Ghostly hands reached out, their faces contorted with rage both at Emma and the darkness enslaving them. "Join us. You can't defy us," they howled. But Emma was resolute. The light around her grew brighter, illuminating the corridor of memories she grasped for, understanding that what she needed was not just courage, but connection. The horror and despair swelled inside her, piercing through the veil she had lived beneath for too long. "I will free you all. We will rise together," she declared, gathering every ounce of strength. The ground seemed to tremble. Yet as the shadows recoiled, a familiar chill swept over her. A breath against her neck. A whisper simmered in her ear, promising treachery disguised as kindness. "What makes you think you can save them?" it breathed, dripping with venom. "You're just as lost as they are." Emma's heart sank as the tendrils of doubt wrapped around her mind again. Each shadow, twisted with fear and desperation, swarmed, threatening to drown her in their chaos. Would she remain lost in this abyss of darkness? Unveil the truth and risk it all? The light around her flickered, the promises of hope dimming, the shadows closing in once more. Would Emma's fragile courage hold, or would the darkness finally swallow her whole? The shadows recoiled, their monstrous forms shifting uneasily, but the chill against Emma's neck didn't waver. The voice dripped with contempt, twisting her insides. Why did it feel so intimately familiar? Panic inflated her chest. She needed to focus, to draw strength from the light she had ignited. "Enough!" she shouted into the abyss. "You don't scare me." But the voice laughed, an echo of mockery that chilled her blood. "You think this is about fear? It's about truth, and you're far from it." Emma stumbled back, desperately scanning the swirling darkness. Was it true? Was she as lost as they claimed? Her mind raced, every fleeting moment of doubt carved deeper fissures into her resolve. The memories flashed before her, a kaleidoscope of joy and sorrow, pulling her toward Sarah's anguished face, locked in an eternal scream. Search for her. A flicker of thought urged, pulling her deeper into the deluge of shifting shadows. Let her guide you, she is your connection. Emma closed her eyes and focused. The warmth in her chest simmered to life again, illuminating the specters swirling around her, revealing their human forms, friends forgotten, voices suppressed by shadows. Those she had wronged. Help me free you. She cried. I won't abandon you. With each pleading word, a cascade of flickering light surged, cutting through the shadows that clung to her. Threads of brilliance shot from her heart, intertwining with the souls grasping for salvation. But their faces twisted with confusion, eyes wide with an echo of despair. We're trapped. They shrieked, their hands stretching out only to be assimilated by the darkness like moths to flame. I'll find a way. Emma shouted back. Just hold on. The shadows writhed, suffocating all hope in their endless force. It pressed down, heavy, filling the air with a thick stench of decay. And then she felt its warmth pulsating under the surface, a danger lurking just beyond the veil of shadows. What about the truth, Emma? What if it's too terrifying to face? The tendrils of doubt wrapped tighter around her consciousness, squeezing until she gasped for air. Sarah's truth. Emma forced through her clenched teeth. I have to know. With fierce determination, Emma summoned every ounce of energy within her, pushing through the webs of darkness, feeling them tear apart like fragile silk. She could hear the screams of the tortured souls amplifying all around her, rising to a deafening crescendo. Show me. She roared, lifting her hands to the unseen universe that seemed to crawl with malevolence. Suddenly, a wall of light exploded before her, illuminating the faces of her friends, locking her in a horror-filled gaze, that look of betrayal. You left us, why? They whispered, their voices a haunting melody that surged around her. No. Emma screamed, but the darkness grew bold. It wrapped tighter around her, a vice grip of worry and fear. Shadows pressed down, forcing her to the ground with suffocating force. You can't. The light flickered at the edges of her vision. Laughter echoed through the maelstrom, all too familiar. The shadows began to merge and twist, forming a grotesque silhouette. Emma's breath quickened, cold dread crawling down her spine. You shouldn't have come here, Emma. You'll never escape. With one last flicker of hope, she lunged against the shadows, trying to break free. But reality slipped away, and the echo of laughter thundered into the void, drowning her cries. Just when the darkness seemed to close in, she felt a sudden jolt, a spark deep within her emerging, pushing against the grip. Questions swirled through her mind, too urgent to ignore. What was Sarah's truth? Was it a burden or salvation? As the shadows danced around her in a frenzy of rage, one thought pierced through: maybe the shadows weren't just the enemy, maybe they were a mirror. Emma's screams mixed with the shadows as she fought for clarity. But was clarity the solution, or a horrifying revelation of her own making? And as she teetered on the brink of that vital discovery, a sinister whisper glided through the air, soft like smoke yet sharp. Enough to carve through hope. What if the truth was never meant to be uncovered? Emma's heart raced, each beat a drum echoing against the relentless shadows. The laughter faded, but the weight of their presence lingered like a funeral shroud. She felt herself being pushed deeper into the abyss, the edges of her vision blurring in the swirling darkness. Truth. The chilling voice whispered again, curling around her thoughts like smoke. What is truth but a reflection of who we choose to be? Are you brave enough to see? Sudden flashes of memory flickered like dying embers, images of moments she wished to forget, the argument with Sarah, the final words that had sealed their fate. Doubt twisted like a knife in her gut. Was she to blame for what had happened? No. I have to save you, she shouted defiantly, struggling against the pull of despair. The shadows recoiled, angry and howling, roaring as fragmented faces pressed forward, mouths wide open in silent screams. You must confront it, Emma. Unravel the secret you buried. Overwhelmed, she reached for the growing warmth inside her. She could feel it pulsating stronger than ever, pushing away the darkness that threatened to engulf her whole. It was as if the light in her heart was a beacon, alive with the memories of innocence lost. Suddenly, the shadows began to shift, swirling faster, forming a vortex around her. Breathing heavily, Emma closed her eyes again and envisioned Sarah, a girl with bright eyes and laughter that used to fill every empty space. She needed to find that connection, that spark of their friendship buried underneath layers of guilt and regret. Find her, Emma. Reach out, the voice demanded, now almost pleading. With grit, Emma thrust her hands out, calling upon the light. She envisioned it wrapping around Sarah, pulling her from the grips of that damned place. Sarah! She cried desperately, tears filling her eyes. Where are you? This time, the shadows began to recede, revealing faint silhouettes of lost friends, faces flickering like half-formed memories just out of reach. Help! Please! The disembodied voices echoed. You must choose. A cold fear washed over her as she realized the truth. She had the power to save some, but it could cost her everything. She tightened her fists, steeling herself for whatever was to come. She could feel a dark presence behind her, an embodiment of her own fears closing in. And then, with a sudden rush, the vortex narrowed around one figure, trembling under the weight of shadows. It twisted and warped until it revealed Sarah, but this was not the Sarah she remembered. The girl stood shrouded in darkness, her expression void of life. Why didn't you save us, Emma? Sarah asked, a hollow echo in the hollow space. Emma's chest tightened. I thought I had to abandon you to save myself. Laughter erupted from the shadows, a sound that chilled her core. Sarah's visage warped, her voice dripping with scorn. Self-preservation is a lie. Look at what you've become. The other faces were lost now, replaced by growing confusion and despair as they recoiled from Sarah. Emma's heart twisted painfully. The shadows lurked, slinking around her as if drawing delight from her anguish. No! I can't lose you again! She yelled, lunging forward despite the weight pinning her down. The light within her flickered, a dying flame against the gathering darkness. I will fight. And then, one horrid thought gripped her. What if she couldn't save Sarah? What if the truth was more horrifying than she believed? Just as the weight of her choices began to unravel, a chilling voice cut through the chaos, slicing through the shadows. You're not the hero here, Emma. Maybe you never were. With that, the ground beneath her cracked open, a black abyss beckoning her to lean closer, to peer into a void that promised nothing but dread. She was drawn to it, teetering on the brink of discovery. What was truly at stake when the truth unraveled? Would she embrace it or succumb to the darkness? And as she lurched forward, teetering on the edge, the final question echoed in the air. What if confronting the truth meant becoming the very nightmare she fought against? The abyss opened wide, like a mouth ready to swallow her whole. Emma felt a cold grip on her ankles, pulling her down, urging her to surrender to the dark. No! She screamed, forcing herself to stand firm. The specter of Sarah loomed closer, her hollow eyes boring into Emma's heart. Face it, Emma. The truth will set you free or lead you to your grave, she taunted. The shadows twisted, their laughter mingling with chilling whispers that came from every direction. Each word slid inside Emma's mind, turning her thoughts against her, her guilt, her failures, her cowardice. What were you afraid of? The voice echoed again, mocking. Disappointment? Loss? Or perhaps, the darkness within yourself? Emma shuddered, longing for the warmth of the light that seemed to flicker dangerously low. She took a shaky breath and clenched her fists. I'm not afraid. She shouted back defiantly, though her voice trembled. Suddenly, the ground beneath her wobbled, as if the very fabric of reality was starting to unravel. The world around her spun with a dizzying pace, shadows danced wildly, and the faces of her friends contorted and twisted, merging into grotesque parodies of happiness lost. "Remember the last time you felt joy?" Sarah's voice crept back in, chilling and remorseless. "You were too busy hiding." Then, a surge of warmth coursed through Emma's veins. It washed over her like a wave, pushing back the suffocating darkness, igniting sparks of memories, the laughter, the secrets shared in the school corridors, their dreams for the future. But with the warmth came the weight of truth. Sarah's laughter was cut off too soon, smothered by fear, cut off like a fragile thread. "Stop!" Emma cried out, tears spilling over. "I want to remember. I need to see." The shadows recoiled, momentarily silent, allowing her consciousness to expand outward. She focused harder, vision sharpening. And then she saw it, the flash of a moment she had buried deep. A secret meeting in the old school basement, whispers shared in fear, the corners of her mind managing an unthinkable truth they had hidden even from one another. "No." Emma breathed as realization crashed over her like a tidal wave. The vision twisted into clarity. They had known something terrible, something that lingered, manifesting. All those late-night discussions, riddled with anxious anticipation of fate they couldn't control. Embracing the warmth within, Emma stepped forward, her light shining bright against the encroaching shadows. "I know now. You were a part of it, Sarah. But that part of you," she hesitated, the enormity of the past crushing down on her, "we can reclaim it." A storm of energy ripped through her as the shadows surged, angry at her defiance. They converged, shrieking, their fury palpable in the suffocating darkness. Emma braced herself, ever aware of the darkness lurking with the intentions to consume her spirit. "Together!" she yelled. "I can't lose you again." With that, she reached deep into the bursts of light, calling upon the strength of their bond, imagining Sarah as she was meant to be, alive, full of joy, drawing upon their shared memories that had the power to illuminate even the deepest corners shadowed by regret. The darkness hesitated, and just for a moment, there was stillness. Emma felt the shadows shrink and pulse, retreating under the warmth that flickered defiantly. "You can't take her. You don't own her." But the abyss still yawned, ever hungry, and Emma could feel it pulling her closer even as she fought against it. Shadows slithered at her feet, eager to reclaim what had been lost. And then came the ultimate question: could the warmth forge a path to salvation or seal their damned fates forever? As the light flickered, Emma realized, a tempest loomed ahead. She had disturbed the darkness with her cries. Would confronting Sarah's true self be the answer, or had she merely awakened an even greater horror lurking just out of sight? Just then, a low rumble echoed from the depths of the void, sending tremors beneath her. "You don't know what you're about to unleash," a voice sneered ominously. Familiar. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Had she just opened the door to something far worse? The tremors beneath Emma's feet echoed like a drumbeat of impending doom, the shadows shifting and swirling angrily. The familiar, taunting voice hung heavy in the air, a reminder that the darkness thrived on fear. Her heart raced, echoing against the gnawing terror within her. "Face it, Emma." The voice sneered again, swirling closer like a tempest. "You've always hidden from the truth. Were you ever willing to confront what lurks in your heart? Who you really are?" But Emma refused to let despair drown her. She clenched her fists, feeling the warmth of her own light spark between her palms. "I won't let you control me. Not anymore," she shouted, the confidence in her voice surprising even herself. The darkness recoiled but quickly reformed, pushing against the light with the ferocity of a wild beast. Faces emerged from the inky blackness, their expressions twisted by anguish, pleading for release. Within it all, Emma saw Sarah's face flicker like a candle ready to blow out. The weight of what she had lost and the responsibility for her friend's pain engulfed her all over again. "Sarah! I'm here!" She called out again, hoping her voice would pierce through the chaos. "I want to save you." Just then, Sarah's spectral form emerged, radiant yet pale, still marred by the shadows that clung to her like leeches. "You can never save us, Emma. Your light isn't enough." Sarah's haunting rasp echoed, intensity bubbling beneath her words. "Together we are enough." Emma steadied herself against the onslaught of darkness. She could feel the warmth inside her spreading, reaching toward the walls of nightmares built on ignorance and fear. "Remember our laughter? Our dreams?" A flicker of recognition sparked in Sarah's eyes, a brief moment of clarity amidst the swirling chaos. "But what if it's too late? What if I'm just too lost?" "No. It's never too late." Emma pushed against the looming shadows, channeling all the love and memories they had shared. "You're here, Sarah. You're still fighting. We can do this together." For the first time, the shadows hesitated, flickering erratically, their hunger momentarily quenched by Emma's fierce conviction. Hope ignited across the chasm of dark, momentarily keeping the shadows at bay. But the darkness growled, a powerful creature sensing a feast slipping through its claws. "You think you can rid yourselves of your entanglements? I made you doubt. Redemption is an illusion. Your failure is what binds you here." Emma's heart clenched. Memories flooded her like raging waters each moment where she cut ties, where she let fear dictate her actions, each opportunity squandered just simmered below the surface. Yet now, standing at the precipice, she felt a surge of resolve rising within her. "Then let us face it." Emma screamed into the abyss. "Let the truth tear us apart if that's what it takes. But we will face it together." As if answering her, the shadows slashed inward, forming a whirlwind of dark, slick energy swirling into a vortex threatening to consume them both. But Emma's heart beat fiercely, casting out warm tendrils of light that shimmered against the despairing darkness. In that moment, her mind anchored on Sarah's laughter, their joyful memories, they coiled around her like a lifebuoy in the depths. "I remember. The secrets we shared. The dreams we wanted." She shouted, willing Sarah to join her, to see the truths they could reclaim together. It was then, amidst the tumult, that the shadows flickered, hesitating not extinguished but weakened. Emma felt the connection tightening, a metaphysical tether strengthening between them. Each plea for salvation was hushed, absorbed into the luminous energy radiating from Emma. This was the agonizing truth that shadowed her heart. "Face the darkness. Face your truth," she urged, her voice resolute. Through the flickering light, Sarah's expression softened. Fear still echoed in her eyes, but now mixed with a glimmer of hope. "Emma, I just don't want to be alone anymore." "You're not alone. We'll rise together." With trembling determination, Emma reached out her hand toward Sarah. Time froze as the shadows hissed almost in unison, surging back, their jealousy of light tainting the air with icy breath. For a heartbeat, silence fell, a fragile moment suspended where time seemed to fracture. And then Sarah, bolstered by Emma's unwavering love, reached for her. Their fingers brushed, igniting a burst of blinding light that surged through the darkness like a tidal wave. The shadows wailed and twisted, their hold breaking, the screeches of anguish melding into thundering roars. The light wrapped around them, merging their spirits as they stood unwavering against the chaos. The darkness shrieked, recoiling in terror as Emma and Sarah's bond flooded the room with purity, radiant warmth cascading generously around them like sunlight erupting through fog. "Together." They echoed, and at that moment, everything surged forward, the dreams and hopes intermingling, drowning the suffocating darkness in unity. And just like that, the shadows faltered, unraveling like a bad dream at dawn. The laughter of lost souls transformed into joyous cries, the very walls of Maplewood High trembling with freedom. As the walls around them pulsed and began to dissolve, Emma glanced at Sarah, a spark of radiance ignited between them. "We did it!" she exclaimed, tears spilling from her eyes, each one a healing drop. "Yes, we did. Sarah echoed, her voice bright with relief. The echoes of laughter transformed into a sweet lullaby, stretching across the school and embrace, closing a chapter mixed with sorrow and growth. And the darkness? It retreated, breaking into shimmering remnants fading behind them, silent, vowing the end of a reign that had haunted them for far too long. As they stepped into the bright world outside, a welcomed warmth enveloped them. It was over. Together, they had faced the darkness inside and outside of themselves, embracing the truth that they had always held the power of connection. Emma looked towards her friend, gratitude washing over her. "Let us never lose each other again." "No," Sarah replied, the smiles blossoming on their faces bright and free. "We can't." They walked forward into the light, ready for whatever lay ahead, unburdened, intertwined by the bonds of their past and hopeful for the future, where darkness would no longer hold sway. That's it for this spine-chilling tale. Now, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now. Every click feeds the algorithm and helps us keep bringing you more thrilling content. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. We want to hear what you think. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means everything.